What's happening, everybody? It is Trey here at Reactions to the Classics, and today we're going to be taking a look at Talking Heads' second record, more songs about buildings and food. I recently did Talking Heads 77, really enjoyed that record. The sound and vibe that the band portrayed was something that was pretty intriguing to me, so I wanted to keep going through their discography, and today we're going to do something a little different. If you're a regular at the channel, you're used to the track-by-track reviews. We're going to switch it up, do an actual first-time reaction as I go through these songs. If you enjoy that format, let me know in the comments down below, and might mix that in with the channel here a little bit. Due to copyright, I'm going to have to split up the songs in short segments so we don't get flagged down. I'm really excited for this. Let's see if we can get 50 likes on this. This helps it go into the YouTube algorithm. It also lets me know that you guys enjoy it and kind of the direction of the channel. So before we get into the track-by-track reaction, though, let's look at some of the facts here. This is their second record and marks a big pivotal point with the band because this is their first collaboration with famed producer Brian Eno. Of course, Eno in this time, we're in the late 70s, is coming off of working with David Bowie, previously worked with Roxy Music as well. Later on, will go on to work with YouTube. And this is in the top 500 albums of all time, according to Rolling Stone. Pitchfork named it in their top albums of the 70s. It's released in July of 78. It reached number 21 in the UK and 29 in the United States. Their first big single, a cover of Al Green's Take Me to the River, is on here as well. And for the cover here, they came up with 529 Polaroid pictures, and that was kind of the impetus for the album cover. I like it, very artsy, which is what the Talking Heads were aiming for. Sonically, this goes to a more danceable style, crossing Byrne's delivery with the increased emphasis on Tina Weymouth. I loved her bass lines, not just on Psycho Killer, but through the entire last record, as well as drummer Chris France. And the album title came up when Tina Weymouth was just discussing, kind of jokingly with the group, what are we going to call an album that's just songs about buildings and food? And then Chris France apparently said, well, let's just call it that, songs about buildings and food. Later on, XTX frontman Andy Partridge said that he actually gave the name to Byrne. So don't know the real truth on that. Maybe y'all can enlighten us in the comments below. But that's it for the quick facts, man. We're just going to get rocking with this. First track here, Thank You for Sending Me an Angel. Let's get it. I already like this. It's building up already pretty nicely. Oh, all right. That sounded slick. I love this sound, man. It has a galloping nature to it throughout there, and then now that just clashes well with Byrne's just idiosyncratic vocals. Great drums. So pulling up the lyrics here, because I always like to have those up as I'm listening to the track. Seems here, I mean, the song Thank You for Sending Me an Angel, it brings to mind immediately a child into Byrne's life, but he didn't have a child at this point. So I don't know, you can read in the lyrics though, oh baby, you can walk, you can talk just like me, with a little practice you can walk. Can talk just like me, but then later on he says, but first I'll walk in circles around you. A little bit vague here for me on the first listen on what exactly Byrne's trying to get at here. Musically though, I already could tell the Eno fingerprints that I was talking about. Production was very slick. I did love just that groove in there, that the drum beat was very propelling. I dug it along with the underlying guitar in there. So I thought that was a good opener, a little over 2 minutes long. So I was digging that, man. And, you had those Byrne characteristic from that first record. Just the way his vocal delivery is pretty unique and intriguing to me, keeps me interested. So an interesting way to start off the record. I'm intrigued to see with our love what we got going on here. So let's get to it. Oh, a little funky. I'm already digging the vibe of this. It's a wonderful beat. I like how it's switching up here. Great guitar. Yet again, another switch. I love that. This is my favorite part, where they go a little bit more funk infused here. A bit manic here, Byrne is, which he tends to do. I like that outro at the end. It kind of brought that manicness that was going on throughout the entire track. Just, you know, it was fizzling out at the very end there. Looking at the lyrics here, he starts on the first verse saying it's just a look, it makes the boys quiver. Maybe this girl is an intoxicating love. And as he's going through the chorus and the words, he kind of switches subjects a little bit here, because then he talks about education, how he looks out the window and he calls that education. He sees his friend standing there. He calls that education sophistication. So they're out in the real world, maybe experiencing life, learning from their mistakes, learning from the real world. And at the end, he notes that he's got other things to do now. He forgot what it was. He's got to get to work. They set an example for us. I'm going to have to listen to this one a couple more times to, I think, pick up everything Byrne was letting down here. But musically, I enjoyed the tempo shifts. That funky vibe at the start of the song was probably my favorite portion of it. We didn't really hear anything like that on Talking Heads 77. Some of the shifts in here came a little quick. It was, at certain sections of the song, I wanted to stay a while with the melodies that were going through, but I like that one because it kind of fit the manic nature to Byrne's vocal delivery. So we're 2 for 2 here. Let's move on to the track number 3, The Good Thing. Let's hit it. Oh. It just lifts up the mood automatically. What a wonderful melody, man. Wonderful. Ooh. I like that harmony. Didn't expect that. Definite favorite so far. Easy. That Tina Weymouth bass line. I adore her bass lines, man. Fantastic guitar work. I love it. All right, so that was definitely my favorite of the 3 tracks we've heard thus far. I love the bass lines in there by Tina, especially at the end. The outro was fantastic. I got a little bit of a guitar solo, and just the keyboard that was underlying a lot of the first part of the song that Eno put in there, I think added a nice touch, added a little bit to that more happy nature to the melody there. So really, really fantastic tune. Looking at the lyrics here, he notes that in his mind, the weather never changes, skill overcomes unfavorable conditions. So even whenever he's going up against trials or adverse circumstances, he thinks that in his mind, if he has the willpower, he can push through it. At least that's what I'm feeling from this first listen here. And then he notes, any intrusion is met with a heart full of the good things. So the good thing is obviously the title of the song, and here he notes it a couple different times throughout the chorus in different contexts. Again, kind of an enigma out there, and that's what I like about Byrne. He at least makes you think and dissect his lyrics a little bit and try to think about what's really happening, what's going on. I dug that one. That one's going to be, I think, one of my favorites when it's all said and done. Track 4, Warning Sign. let's get to it. A little bit of an electronic feel, kind of right off the gate. Yet again, a very punchy, powerful bass line. This is a groove you just can get lost to, bobbing your head, tapping your foot, man. I like this. So his voice is definitely distorted in a certain sense. That I enjoy that kind of goes with the backing of the warning sign in here, kind of panicky. So just kind of getting lost in his voice here. Again, I definitely like the groove in there. The lyrics here, warning sign, I hear it, but I pay it no mind. Hear my voice, it's saying something and it's not very nice. So that's the opening verse. That sets the tone for the rest of the song, and kind of a bit of ominous tone in there from Byrne. As I mentioned in the reaction, he seems like his voice is a little bit distorted at certain points, kind of pans from one side to another, and almost like it's the voice in his head that could be warning him, or maybe somebody else is warning him. I don't know, but it looks like he maybe won't heed this warning, because he mentions that it happened before, it's going to happen again. The groove in there was the highlight for me, and just the way that they produced Byrne's voice there. So I again enjoyed that one, and one that I think is going to continue to grow on me as I listen to this record. We're going to move on to the girls, Want to Be with the Girls. So let's see what we got in store. I love that tempo shift here. Such clean guitar here. Yeah. That Byrne quirkiness, man. Can't match it. Nice conglomeration of sound here at the end. Ooh, France is killing it on the drums. Here we had some of the most quirky lyrics and vocal delivery of Byrne. Essentially here he's noting how girls want more, I think, than just the physical relationship compared to boys who sometimes just only have what the physical side of a relationship can bring to them. He notes that girls are getting into abstract analysis, would like to make that intuitive leap. They are making plans that have far-reaching effects on the girls, want to be with the girls, because the boys probably don't want any of that. And so what's going to happen? The girls are going to go hang out with the girls in that sense. And the boys don't know what that means. They're just too dense. Musically, I dug France's drumming. That was a highlight, I think, for him, just from what I've heard from him so far. A great drumming performance, and just that funkiness nature to it. I like, because every song so far has sounded different than the previous tracks on there. Each of them have a little different flair or something interesting about them that makes them stand out compared to the rest of the tunes. So this A-side has been pretty darn good, and we're going to move on now to Found a Job. From my research beforehand, apparently a couple here, they're discussing Nothing on TV. They get bored with that. As the song progresses, they end up making their own TV show, and apparently making it big and doing what they love. So hence the title, maybe Found a Job. It's 5 minutes long, so it's going to be the longest one up to this point, and I'm curious to hear how this story plays out now that I know a little bit of what's going to happen with it. Damn that television, Byrne coming in. All right, so couples angry that there's nothing on TV. It seems like there's nothing ever on. Byrne quips that they might be better off. I think the way it seems to me, making up their own shows, which might be better than TV. Reminds me of when I'm surfing Netflix and there ain't anything on. Let's keep rocking. I'm digging it so far. Love the shift from the verses to the chorus. This underlying guitar is fantastic. Man, they know how to work an outro, Talking Heads. I will say that. This is epic. I'm wanting to get clapping too, just like they are on the song. This is a great outro. So as the song progressed, they ended up obviously making that hit TV show. The line that stood out to me the most is, "If your work isn't what you love, then something isn't right." Hey man, that's why I'm doing this channel. It's not my job. Particularly, but you got to go out and do something you love, and I do think that's good advice, because whether you like it or not, you're going to be working for the majority of your life, so go out and do something as much as you can that you enjoy. So I think this is my favorite track so far. Got to add that to the Spotify library right there. Sonically, it just had a bunch going for it, from the tempo shifts and different time signatures and the verses and the chorus, and then that outro just brought it all together to a nice climax and conclusion. So found a job, big hit for me. Artist Only is the next track, so let's get to it. Fantastic. Woo! Heavier guitar than pretty much everything on this record thus far. I didn't expect this to be this heavy, honestly. Okay, that was definitely an interesting, unique track. It honestly reminded me a bit of some 60s psychedelic rock, early Pink Floyd, Syd Barrett era-ish type of stuff. And so sonically, I really enjoyed it. Gotta admit, I wasn't a huge fan of Byrne's delivery style here, but that, the way he was just kind of phrasing his words, I guess it did fit the theme of the song. I can see where he was going. Just for me, it wasn't a highlight per se, but the musical backing itself was something pretty beautiful in its own haunting type of way. All right, I'm Not in Love is up next. Just singling out the guitar here, obviously. All come crashing in. Great way to start the tune. I'm intrigued. I'm loving this. One of my favorites right already. First impression so far is that I really enjoy the way that Byrne has a very quiet vocal here, and then they come in with the guitar and drums just heavy, and then they let him speak a little bit. You hang on his words, and then you go back into the guitar riff and the drums. Really digging this one so far, man. And it reminds me of some themes that we had earlier. Girl time, boy time. Is that the difference between you and me? The girls want to be with the girls. Touched on some similar types of themes. It seems like he doesn't want just the physical parts of a relationship. He wants to really connect with somebody here. So very interesting. I'm intrigued to see how this ends. Ooh, France coming in hot. Ooh, what a note. Pull out funky here again. I ain't complaining. This one's definitely got to be added to the playlist here. And Byrne and Jerry Harrison's guitar work here, I haven't highlighted that yet, but that I think climaxed here on this song, especially in that outro. Just wonderful guitar work. I enjoyed the lyricism there and the story that Byrne was telling, the confusion of love, the longing that many people have for it but can't seem to ever fully get or grasp to the level that they want. That was a phenomenal track right there. It really kept my interest throughout the entire 4.5 minutes. So big hit right there. We're gonna move on. We only got 3 tracks left. I've been really digging this record and the vibe that it's setting. Stay Hungry, 241. So let's see what we got. Great groove. This is one you just want to dance to yet again. Synthesizer, unique twist. That Eno touch yet again. So I had to add that again to the playlist because I just that ending section with the synthesizer type sounds, and we just had the long just melody going in there and just the beat rocking, the great funky type guitar. And it was interesting lyrically because it was a total opposite from I'm Not in Love, where he was longing for a more emotional type of connection. Here it's all this physical innuendos in here for sure. Very consistent record so far. We're only down to the final 2 tracks, and the next song, Take Me to the River, this was recorded in the Bahamas. Single reached number 26, and this is a cover of the Al Green song. Byrne noted on Take Me to the River there were at least 4 different cover versions of the song at the same time. There was theirs, Brian Ferry, Levon Helm, and Foghat. Tina Weymouth said on this track that they played it once live in the studio, really dug the way that it sounded, and then just went in and just added a couple electronic type of effects in there. Didn't mess too much with the playing of the instruments themselves once they laid it down that initial time. So this is one of their biggest hits off of this record, so let's see how it sounds. Characteristic bass and drum groove that's been through this record immensely. Just dripping with cool throughout the entire track. Woo! interesting electronic type of sounds here. Oh, got an organ coming in. Lyrically, this seems to be saying that he is in love with this girl, but he's wondering here, is this love going to last? Essentially, he's asking her, is he going to be the one? He notes here that his Sweet 16 he's never going to forget or regret. Maybe they hooked up at that time, and then that motif returns later on here when he mentions that I don't know why I love her like I do, all the trouble you put me through, 16 candles there on my wall, and here I am, the biggest fool of them all. He really holds that 16th birthday experience in high regard, but it doesn't seem like she loves him as much as he loves her, and she might have moved on to another person in here. We have a cleansing here in the chorus, reminds me of a baptism. Dip me in the water, drop me in the river. Byrne's most straightforward, traditional singing performance, I would say here, and maybe he wanted to do that because it was a cover version. I like the different types of sounds in here, especially at the end. It sounded like we had like a Hammond organ. I have to listen to the regular version of this song to compare the two, but I enjoyed that one. And I think that out of all the songs we listened to, this is a good choice as a single to maybe introduce somebody to the Talking Heads if they hadn't heard like Psycho Killer on the previous record at the time that this was released in the late 70s. Get it some radio play. So we're going to move on to the Big Country. This is the final tune, so let's end this record out. More country bass guitar, hence the title, I guess. I see the shapes I remember from the night, and the houses where the kids are. In the evening, when you come to the farmland, I wouldn't live if you paid. I wouldn't live if you paid. That Byrne brutal honesty. No siree. So here through the first couple verses, obviously he's talking about like the rural areas, the country. I like in the second verse, he concedes that he notes, I guess it's healthy. He mentions that they probably got a kitchen stocked full of food that they grow in the farmlands, bring it to the store, bring it back home. Kind of paints a picture where he's conceding, yeah, I mean, their air's probably clean. There's good parts about living in the country, but he comes in with that brutally honest chorus, those Byrneisms that just he's not afraid to say, even if other people might be. He says, I wouldn't live there if you paid me. I wouldn't live like that. No siree. Obviously, Talking Heads coming from one of the biggest cities and metropolitan areas in the world, in New York City. So this is an interesting topic to tackle and an interesting way to end this record off. So we got about a minute and a half. Let's finish it off. Another wonderful outro with that bass. Ooh. There you have it. More songs about buildings and food. He comes in at the very end saying that these people aren't even worth talking about in the country. And then he outros it, goo goo ga ga ga, maybe saying that they're, since they haven't experienced the city life, that they're like babies in the sense of their simplicity in the world. I might be reading too much into that. That's what I'm kind of vibing though with what Byrne was saying there. A slight country flair to it just based off the guitar work in there, but it wasn't overbearing, and I appreciate that they went out, experimented with something else, but they still kept kind of their signature sound even underneath all that. So that is More Songs About Buildings and Food. First impressions of the entire record for me is that it's a very, very good record. I think just off first impressions that it's probably more consistent than Talking Heads 77. There's not a song that rivals something like Psycho Killer maybe, but that's a pretty high bar to set there. So overall, I like the way that they incorporated some of that funk music, and just the grooves in there were very made you want to bob your head, tap your foot, get up and dance a little bit. I thought France, he surprised me in a good way. He was very stand out on this entire record just with his drumming performance, and Tina Weymouth yet again was very wonderful with her bass lines. Byrne singing on here kept that those idiosyncrasies that I was used to on the Talking Heads 77, and even expounded on that a little bit. For my favorite tracks, just off this first listen, the tops for me would be Found a Job, and then I also really liked I'm Not in Love and Stay Hungry. Those were back to back, were pretty killer. The cover of the Al Green track, Take Me to the River, was also pretty solid, and there were only probably one or two tracks that I wasn't vibing with very much, and for your first listen for 11 songs, that's a pretty good effort here by the Talking Heads. I'm going to listen to it a little bit more in my free time to kind of see where I'm going to have it stacked up against Talking Heads 77, but I really enjoyed this. It was a fun exercise, and I really like the way that they blend a bunch of different sounds together. I think the production value was definitely better than Talking Heads 77. Brian Eno adds something to this group here, and who already have that obviously artistic bent. He's able to hone that a little bit, and they're able to mesh together their ideas, and it brought forth some great tunes, melodies, and grooves here. So all in all, great album. I'm looking forward to going on to their next record. If you'd like me to do more reactions in the future, if you enjoyed this, let me know. This is my first one that I've done of an actual reaction. Kind of got the review format down, but on the reaction side, there's some stuff I'm sure I'll work out as we get rocking with it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know what you think, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button, man. We'll have more Talking Heads in the future, and until next time, happy listening, my friends. Thanks for watching, and we will see ya.